You gotta be flipping my flapjacks. $3.676 million for the public count now at this point in time. Another all-time high for the public count here today. Seems like it's just all-time high after all-time high. Congratulations to everybody that's hitting all-time highs in your portfolios this week. Absolutely unbelievable. The one-year return for the public count, 72% now, as calculated by Fidelity Investments. That compares versus S&P 500 at 18%. So absolutely tremendous. I could not be happier with how things are going. Looking at a day like today, I mean, just some stocks are just making some huge moves. The Planet, which is a dead and forgotten stock, I mean, up double digits here today. Honest up over 7%. Estee Lauder running 3% plus. Revolve up very nicely. AMD continue to run. AMD is just red hot right now. Palantir hit 160 today. Fubo's running. It's incredible, right? We got new AI investor sentiment data that's pretty shocking. I couldn't believe what I saw in regards to that sentiment survey here today. Front page of CNBC, I go on there and look at that. Who could have guessed this 3 years ago? Who could have guessed this 3 years ago that Palantir, a company named Palantir, would be on the front page of CNBC Top News, Palantir among 20 most valuable U.S. companies? Incredible, man. Incredible what can happen in a few years' time, right? In today's video is 4 core subjects I want to go over, okay? First up, I want to talk about a stock that's changing early investors' life. I want to speak about that at the beginning of this video. Second thing is we're going to talk about is what is the next stock that, in my opinion, that early investors are going to change their life with. Third thing we'll speak about in this video here today, why I sold some of a stock here today, okay? And why I'm going to sell more, okay? We'll speak about that in this video as well. Fourth subject I want to get into lastly here today will be around that AI investor sentiment and what this means for the stock market moving forward. Does this mean the stock market's going to start going down? Does it mean it's going to go up more? Does it mean it's going to go up a lot? Does it mean it's going to flatline? So we'll speak about all that in this video here today. Okay, I appreciate y'all for joining me. There's one thing and one thing only I need from you. Smash that like button. That's it. I hope you can do that for me. 1 out of 10 people. I hope you can do that for me. And please, I hope it's more than 1 out of 10 people. Like, I'm Mr. Georgia over here. I'm in Georgia right now, okay? Look at how big this tree is. I walked outside the hotel just to take this photo of this tree. Look at the size of that thing. Oh my gosh. Like, you know I'm in Georgia when the trees are that big. Next up, after this, going to Charlotte, North Carolina. And then after that, New York City. So, yeah, I'm going to be recording videos for you guys all along the way. And so I hope you appreciate that. I appreciate you joining me. Like I said, the only thing I need from you, hit the like button. If you want to subscribe here to the channel, you can certainly subscribe. Here's the trees we have in Vegas. They're palm trees, okay? We don't have much water, so that's about all we can do out there. It's just some palm trees. Lord knows we could not water this thing. This thing gets watered naturally by all the clouds, but yeah. Now, I did buy a brand new stock in the Patreon portfolio here today. If you want to see what stock that is, you can join my Patreon. That will be the pinned comment down there. And not only do you get to see what stock that is, but every week you get to see the stocks I'm buying and selling actively in there. I post it with screenshots. Additionally, you get access essentially to the Patreon Discord chat as well. So that will be the pinned comment down there if you want to join my Patreon. I don't shout that out much, but I thought I would do that here today. Okay. Now, okay. So talking about a stock that's absolutely changing early investors' life in a massive way, and then we'll get into the other subjects of this video. Okay. Listen. Palantir is changing early investors' life. I mean, this is a stock that roughly the past 2.5 years, the stock price is up a shocking 2,546% over the past 2.5 years, roughly, right? I mean, that's more than a lot of people make in a lifetime of investing in the S&P 500. Like, if you get in, let's say, you start actually taking investing serious in your 30s or 40s, right? By the time you're actually retirement age, you probably still won't have made 2,500%. Like, that's just such a ridiculous amount. Such a ridiculous amount. I mean, look at the S&P 500 over this time. S&P 500 has done very well over the past 2.5 years, roughly. S&P 500 is up 66%. But it just is nothing, literally nothing. It's a rounding error when you compare it to a 2,500+% gain in Palantir. So congratulations to everybody's been along this ride for, right? I wanted to pull up a 25-year chart because I was like, how far back do we need to go to see us making 2,500% in the S&P 500, right? So I took it back 25 years at first, and I still wasn't even in the same ballpark. If you invest in S&P 500 25 years ago, you would have a return of 357%. 357% in 25 years. Now you can say, well, you receive a little dividend money along the road, so the return's a little better than that. Sure. Okay. It's still horrible. Okay, that's not good. Like 357%. Like, oh my gosh, like I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, shoot, 25 years? I mean, heck, housing prices have gone up. It seems like almost that much in some markets. I mean, like if I think back to how much a home costs, like I remember my parents sold their home. It was in a real bad community we lived in. They sold it in 2001. We moved to like a middle class community, but I remember them selling that home for a little over $100,000. And I think that same house today is valued by Zillow at like, I want to say like $350,000 or something like that. Like, and I'm sure the community's still as bad as it ever was, but that's just crazy. And so you only made 357% in 25 years. Now check this out. This is insane. Absolutely insane. 1986. That's how long ago you would have had to buy the S&P 500 to have made 2,500%. 1986, folks. Think about this for a moment. Let me take you back to 1986, okay? Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States. Mark Zuckerberg was 2 years old. 1986, Starbucks had 6 locations. 6 locations Starbucks had. That was 7 years before nvidia was founded. 7 years before nvidia was founded. How insane is that? That's how long. So when somebody asks, why do you do this individual stock picking? Why do you want to, research companies and pick your own portfolio and things like that? Why not just put in an index fund? Show them that. Show them that sometimes. And they'll begin to realize, oh. And then they'll say something like, well, that's just a one-off situation. Like, you can never have success. Just look at me. Look at how many stocks I've had that have been absolute bangers over the years. From Tesla to Elf to Meta to Palantir to SoFi to Amazon, right? nvidia, if I would have just held it and not sold after I made a little profit. I mean, we could just go down the list of like this. I'm just one guy. I'm just one guy. And there's been plenty of stocks over my investing life that I missed. Plenty. There's plenty of stocks that are up thousands of percent or even tens of thousands of percent since I got in the market in 08, 09, right? That I didn't get it, I didn't know about the company, or I looked into it and I just couldn't formulate it, and I missed them. And yet still look at all the success. Look at all the stocks I've gotten right. Look at all the money I've made. And it's like, I'm just one guy out here who missed it. I've missed way more stocks than I've gotten right? Like, think about how many stocks there are that have made thousands of percent or tens of thousands of percent since I got in the market. And think about how many I made huge amounts of money on, right? Like, when you think about it like that, it's like, geez, there were so many other opportunities out there that I didn't even get. So when people come up to you, it's about building a great portfolio of 10, 20 stocks, and you can get a few of these that are the game changers. Your portfolio in your life is changed financially forever. Not like, it's changed forever. Because you'll make what people hope to make in 30 or 40 years in an index fund. You can make that in a matter of a few years. You play this game on a high level, man. You know what you're doing. You put in the work. You put in the research work. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? No, even in the past year, you could have, if you invested in Palantir a year ago, this time, right? You could have said, I missed the move, right? Stock's already 30 plus, like I missed it, right? Stock was $6, $7, I missed it. Even since a year ago, you still made 448%, which is just a shocking move. Remember, 448%. And remember I showed you a 25-year chart of the S&P 500? 25-year chart of the S&P 500 is up 357%. You made more just in Palantir in the past move after you missed the big move, right? From $6 to $30+. Even after you missed that, you still made way more in the past year than you would have made in 25 years holding the S&P 500. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, right? Now, big upgrade happens here today. Palantir gets a buy call despite valuation. The stock is a secular winner. What's going on here? For all the talk about lofty valuation of Palantir stock, backers of the artificial intelligence heavyweight aren't backing down. In fact, they got reinforcements on Friday. Piper Sandler's analyst initiated coverage of the stock, rating it overweight with a price target of $170. Wow, interesting, a $170 price target. Piper Sandler has monitored the stock since before its direct listing in 2020 through late 2022 when it plummeted to $6 and into 2025. Quote, where Palantir has been crowned an all-star on accelerating growth, interesting, end quote. He sees Palantir as a secular winner in the AI revolution, saying multiple factors will usher in growth of more than 30%. Technically, they already have way more than 30% growth. They're clipping right now around 40% roughly, with free cash flow margins of above 40%. Government contracts are part of that. The analyst expects the company to deepen its ties to the Army and Department of Defense at DoD, gaining from shifts in military spending that will benefit AI software providers. Closer connections with Fannie Mae are also likely, he says. While Palantir is most often linked with the U.S. government, its commercial division has grown. The analyst believes U.S. commercial revenue could expand at 33% compounding annual growth rate to $5 billion by the end of calendar year 2030. Do I think that's possible? Very possible. Very possible. Like, yeah, 100%, like, no doubt in my mind. Both as more companies use the company and as a result do partnerships with Accenture, Databricks, and SAP. Now, the analyst noted, this is interesting here, very interesting. The analyst noted that visitor traffic to the company's website surged 144% in the second quarter, up from 62% last year. That reinforces Palantir's status as an industry leader akin to Anthropic, ChatGPT, and CoreWeave, all which have seen comparable growth, the analyst says. All that hasn't gone unnoticed. The share price has more than doubled this year. Anyone who wants to invest in the company will have to pay up. As of Thursday, Palantir's stock was selling for more than 232 times the earnings per share expected for the next 12 months, compared with 22 times for the S&P 500, right? So you're basically paying a 10x valuation. The question is, can Palantir grow 10x an average company in the S&P 500, not only for the next year, but let's talk about the next, decade. That's really the question, right? One reason is that the AI boom has sparked extraordinary interest in Palantir. A Reddit community dedicated to discussing the company has 106,000 members. Many investors reason that Palantir will keep rising as business and government contracts continue to pour in money into AI. The analyst's view is that valuation at present is unsustainably high. Palantir's valuation premium leaves little margin for error, particularly in any warning signs of moderating growth emerges, he wrote. Still, he believes the stock is worth buying, suggesting investors load up on it when the price falls. He cited 12 times shares have slid by 20% to 29% in the past 5 years, right? So, basically saying buy the dip, you get those buying opportunities there, which is very, very interesting that he's saying that, right? Now, the main thing that you got to keep in mind when it comes to like let's say you make game-changing money on stock, right? You make a ton of money, you made life-changing money on stock, right? I was showing this in my private stock group here today. This is the P&L calculated by Fidelity Investments of the public count so far this year, taking $606,000 of gains. $606,000 of gains, right? By far and away the best year in the history of the public count in terms of taking gains, right? My view is you buy quality, not high risk. When you make crazy money on a stock like Palantir, right? And this could be for any stock. You make life-changing money, you make insane gains, thousands of percent gains, right? You don't want to take insane risk with that money. What got you to that place is not going to be what gets you to the next place. And the thing you got to understand, especially when it comes to me and finding some of these stocks, I take lower amounts of risk. If you look at Palantir and me buying my Palantir position, it's not like I risked the farm in that stock. I took a very, very calculated amount, not a crazy amount. If Palantir went to zero, it wasn't like an amount that I'm going to be on the street asking for change, right? I put a modest amount in and made ridiculous sums of money across my accounts in Palantir. Unbelievable, right? And so when you make that game-changing money in a stock, just don't blow it, man. Just don't blow it. Because a lot of people, what happens, they make that game-changing money, and then they want to feel that high of making the next 2,000% gain stock. It might take a while before you find that next one. And when I say a while, it could take you months, it could take you years to find that next 2,000% gain type opportunity. So don't get impatient with it and start, just trying to, some crazy quantum computing company over here, maybe they're the next 2,000% gain. So let me buy that one. That's how you screw up all your gains there, right? Because the next one doesn't quite go like the last one went. And so you got to make sure you buy quality companies with that money, not super high risk and screw the whole game up, right? No, the question is, what is the next stock? That reminds me a lot of Palantir. And there is this one particular stock that it has so many similarities. I'm going to show you the similarities here. We're going to go through it one by one. I'm going to show you how many similarities this company has with Palantir. And if you were buying Palantir a few years ago, like I was, and maybe some of you guys watching this were, right? This stock reminds me a lot. It's almost scary how much this company reminds me of Palantir, which is an incredible gainer. Now, with that being said, before we get into the stock, let me just say this. I do not expect this stock to give me a 2,500% gain or a 2,000+% gain, okay? I'm expecting the stock to make me a ton of money, but not that extreme. So I need to say that first, before we get into this, okay? Okay, so what is this stock that reminds me so much of Palantir? It's freaking AMD. Buying AMD in that major correction we have in April, it reminds me so much of if you were buying Palantir stock in the second half of 2022 when it was just down and out, right? Now look at the outperformance AMD is now with nvidia, and this is just becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. 32 full percentage points of outperformance AMD has versus nvidia since that April bottom now at this point in time during that major correction. That's unbelievable. But there's 5 very core things that remind me so much of Palantir, buying Palantir in that major correction in April versus buying Palantir in the second half of 2022. And here's what it is. 1, both stocks were in a 60% plus decline at that particular time. If you look at AMD top, like it was somewhere around 210, 212, basically in 2024, and then it started a massive downtrend, and it finally bottomed in that April timeframe, and that was in the 70s, right? 60% plus drawdown for AMD. Palantir was like more in like an 80% plus drawdown from their peak to where they troughed at in the second half of 2022. So do keep that in mind. It was a more powerful drawdown with Palantir, but still, this was an insane drawdown AMD had as well. Okay, just like very down and out, horrible sentiment. No one wants a piece of it. I mean, when I was buying AMD in the first half of this year so heavily, right? I mean, the sentiment from a lot of retail folks was it was advanced money destroyer. They were making fun of the stock. It's never going to do anything. The stock always lets you down, blah, 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 right? Second thing that reminds me a lot of Palantir is great long-term products. When I looked at Foundry, Gotham, Apollo, when I looked at Palantir's products, how they were doing business, it looked like great products for the long term. And I could, anybody that really knew their stuff in this industry inside and out, man, they had nothing but great things to say about Palantir. Nothing but great things. So it seemed like Palantir had the products and the product roadmap for the next number of years, right? And then AIP obviously launched, and it's just game changer. And when I look at AMD, same exact thing I see. With the MI350 series, with what they have coming next year with the MI400 series, it looks like they got great long-term products that they're set for years to go in the future that are going to be very exciting, right? Third thing here is, it's misunderstood by the market. Palantir was 100% misunderstood by the market. AMD's been 100% misunderstood by the market up until really the past month. But AMD, if I look back, people didn't get it. They thought NVIDIA is just gonna run all over AMD forever, and AMD has no chance. And it's you guys are looking at this game completely wrong, right? As people were doing with Palantir back in the second half of 2022, people thought Palantir was done. They saw the growth rates kept going down. They thought that was going to last forever. Guess what? It didn't. And then their growth rate started to accelerate again. And then they kept accelerating and kept accelerating and kept accelerating, right? You got great products in the market, the revenue will come around, right? Fourth, great balance sheet. If I looked at Palantir's balance sheet back in the day, one of the things that gave me a lot of comfort was the balance sheet was phenomenal. They had basically no debt and they had good cash flows around. And if I look at AMD's balance sheet, very, good or great balance sheet at AMD. And I can only imagine where that balance sheet's going to be in like a year or two from now with how much money they're going to have pouring in, how much in profits they're going to have pouring in. Yeah, and they're not a dividend payer, so that balance sheet's going to stack with cash over this next couple of years. So AMD is about to go just from there's a very good or great balance sheet to whoa, that's like a special balance sheet. The fifth thing is top CEO. Now, Alex Karp wasn't proven in 2022 as a public market CEO. He's shown now that he's a top CEO, right? You get a top 20 most valuable company in the US, yeah, you're a special CEO, you're a top CEO, right? Lisa Su's already proven she's a top level CEO, right? So there's just a lot of similarities that it's kind of crazy, right? Now, the thing I'll say about AMD is I believe AMD is a much safer buy than Palantir was, right? Which is why I put a big money amount into AMD, right? A very large money amount. I'm sitting on a $425,000 position in the public count. I got a ton of shares in other portfolios as well, a ton of shares. And, now sitting on a $140,000 gain on AMD here. Just much safer than Palantir was from the respect of Alex Karp wasn't a proven CEO really at that time. He's now known as a top CEO, but he wasn't back in 2022 when I was buying that stock. Lisa Su is, right? And additionally, Palantir, their growth rates kept going down, so that's kind of scary to buy a stock like that, right? I believe that was just temporary and the growth rates would start to accelerate again, and that came to fruition, right? But that's scary. And the margins were not in a great place for Palantir either at that particular time. So everything was really going wrong. With AMD, look at the numbers. They just keep getting better and better and better. And imagine what's going to happen over this next few years for AMD. So and AMD obviously makes profits, right? Throws off cash. So I look at AMD and I feel like it's a much safer buy than what Palantir was when I was buying Palantir back in the second half of 2022 heavily, right? So the moral of the story is here, AMD buying that stock in the first half of this year, 2025, versus buying Palantir in the second half of 2022, it's less risk, less reward, but still a lot of reward. Do I expect AMD to return me 2,500% or 2,000+%? No. Could I see AMD returning me 300%, 500%, maybe even 700%? Yep. Could I see AMD stock, going down 50% from my cost basis? No. Could I have potentially seen that with Palantir? Sure. My cost basis was $7 or $8 or so, right? Could I have seen that stock going to 3 or 4 if it kept getting worse? Yeah, that's possible. It could have went to penny stock land. Could have. I can't see AMD going down to 50-something dollars a share, which is basically where it would need to be for me to go down 50% on my cost basis, right? I can't see that happening. So it's less risk, it's less reward, but it's still a lot of reward, right? A lot of reward. Next up here, why I sold some of the stock today, what I sold, why I did it, and those sorts of things. So what was it? Palantir. I sold more Palantir here today. Yep, another 250 shares, ching, cashed out. It's crazy, man. I paid $1,800 for those 250 shares, and my proceeds today from selling were $39,000+. $39,000 from an $1,800 cost basis buy. Incredible, man. Incredible. Now, that now puts me in the public account this year at about $250,000 of gains taken in Palantir, right? I've just been cash and shares, and I got a little bit more to cash here in regards to Palantir. And when I say a little bit more, I'm talking about I got another 250 shares to cash. I basically want to get down to 1,000 shares by year end. So I got 250 shares left to cash here now at this point in time. And still, 2,000+% gainer on this one, still about a $200,000 position. So, if the stock keeps going up, by the time I sell the other 250, could still be a $200,000 position roughly. So, and the plan is with the other 1,000 shares is to just hold those babies long term. In case Palantir really becomes a $1 trillion market cap or a multi-trillion-dollar market cap, right? Which I have a lot of doubts about that. I have a lot of doubts that Palantir is going to become a $1 trillion market cap or multi-trillion-dollar market cap in the next, 5 to 10 years. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the odds that Palantir becomes a trillion or multi-trillion-dollar market cap in the next 5 to 10 years, I think it's probably like a 10% probability. I don't think it's very likely. I think it's very likely that Palantir stays in the hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap for the next 5 to 10 years, though. That's what I believe is going to go on in regards to Palantir, right? Now, if you want to know my reasoning around why I'm selling Palantir, watch the video I put out 10 days ago here on the main channel. It's got 116,000 views so far. I'm selling Palantir stock. Here's why. A lot of it comes down to valuation. I run you through the numbers in that video. I run you through my bull case for Palantir. I run you through my bear case for Palantir. I run you through my base case. Guess what? The stock's even higher today than it was when I did that video, which means the risk reward's even less attractive than when I did that video. So if you really want to know my in-depth reasoning on why I'm making this move, you can watch that video there, right? Now, I posted this on my X page regarding Palantir here today and kind of where my expectations are for the stock price in the short term and longer term, okay? I said this, and by the way, if you don't follow me on X, it's always linked in the description area of all my videos. You can search me on there, Holy Smokers, as well, but if you just want to click the link directly on your phone or iPad or computer or whatever, it's always linked in the description area of all my videos, okay? And I post a lot of stuff on there, so you might want to follow if you use X, that is. I said Palantir is an out-of-control animal. My guess is the fun ends somewhere between 1 week to 6 months from now, somewhere in there, right? And, as soon as we start getting a sniff that growth rates are going to start to decelerate, the stock will already start getting hit hard. Maybe that happens, when their next earnings come out here in the next couple of weeks, or maybe that's, 2 quarters from now. We'll see, but I think it's likely in the next few quarters here that we're going to see and start to sniff out like Palantir is about to start decelerating their growth rates, right? Which is going to be a whole situation for the stock to go through at that point in time. I said the 2025 highs we hit this year won't be touched until the 2030s. That's my opinion. 2026 through 2030, the stock will be flat or down from the 2025 highs. That's my prediction. It's tough, man. And that's why I'm selling Palantir, because I am fully of the belief that the highs we hit here this year in 2025, if we fast forward years in the future, we're going to be sitting on a stock that's likely going to be flat or down. I'll hold those other 1,000 shares just in case I'm wrong. And there's that outside chance that it's like, no, they accelerate growth rates to 50% revenue and then 60% revenue and 70% revenue and 80% revenue. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is insane. I don't want to bet the farm on that. I'll bet small on that probability. And so that's my opinion. That's what we're going to likely see. I think it's going to be, and I don't know where the top is. Maybe it was today at 160. Maybe it's a few weeks from now at 175. Maybe it's at 200, 220. I don't know, but all I know is that I believe is that the highs we hit in 2025 will not be seen again until the 2030s, folks. And so that's why I'm cashing, because I'm like, I don't want to sit in dead money with a big position. Because remember, I used to own 5,000 plus shares of Palantir, right? I don't want to sit in a stock that's going to be dead money for years to go in the future in any sort of major position. I'll hold a minor position in case there's that outside probability that I'm wrong and it's just keeps going and it's like a $2 trillion market cap, $3 trillion market cap. But I'm not going to risk big money on something like that, a situation like that, right? Now, the other thing I really appreciate when I posted that, and I said this, I said the Palantir community is so much more intelligent and mature than the Tesla community on X. They're so much different, right? I said, I can say this about Palantir and it's all good. I can say something like this about Tesla and the whole community has a meltdown. They lose their minds. I love the Palantir community. And that's the one thing that makes me sad about, continue to cash my Palantir shares here is just I really like the Palantir community a lot. I've learned to started resenting a lot of the Tesla community because they're just so immature and they're just so disillusioned and just crazy people. The Tesla community just has too many wackos in it that I'm just kind of disappointed. And also the Tesla community has a lot of people that have entire business models around just pumping Tesla and pumping Elon Musk positive everything. And so, the Palantir community is just not like that. It's just so much more of an intelligent, mature community, and I really appreciate that. No, by the way, the Palantir community might change, guys. And this is a big warning for you guys as well. Since there's been such a retail frenzy kind of in Palantir recently, you could get into a situation where, a few years from now, you look at the Palantir community and it disgusts you because there's just like clueless people in the stock. Like there's just so many clueless people in Tesla nowadays because they got emotionally wrapped up into it, right? And that could happen with Palantir. So keep that in mind, because remember, like Tesla back in the day, I'm talking 2019, before it made its big move. I'm telling you guys, Tesla had the most intelligent community in the entire stock market behind that stock. Bar none. It was the most intelligent community. Like I remember talking about Tesla back in those days, and I would just have very high level discussions with a lot of other folks around Tesla back then that were also very invested in the company and, saw the EV revolution coming and all this stuff before other people saw it, right? And we took advantage of that and we reaped the benefits of incredible gains, and, people made tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. Some made tens of millions of dollars on Tesla stock, right? Incredible. But it was a very intelligent community. I cannot say that nowadays. If I post something around Tesla, I get almost nothing intelligent back. It is very low level, low IQ like responses. Like very memeish, trollish type stuff. It's not high level anymore. It's sad. And so understand, Palantir could be on its way to becoming that, which is scary and sad. But it might happen. It might happen. And then people will be sitting on this stock for years and years and years, making no money on it, and probably just grow even more mad about the whole situation, right? And turn even crazier. And that's what happened with Tesla. I mean, Tesla stock in the past 4.5 years, where's it gone? Nowhere. You've been sitting on Tesla stock for 4.5 years, it hasn't made any money. It's still not going to make any money for you anytime soon. So that stock, on a 5-year basis, soon enough, will have not made people money. 6-year basis, 7-year basis, people are like, what the heck, man? There might be a day to end up buying back into Tesla, by the way, but it's not right now, man. It's not right now. So do keep that in mind. I like this. Andre posted this one on X. It's a Jeremy Tesla community. I'm going to poke you. The thing is, I come from the Tesla community. Like, I built the Tesla community, man. There was no Tesla community before I joined. There was the only Tesla community that had existed before I really joined in 2019 or 2018, 2019. I started covering Tesla in 2018, right? The only Tesla community that was really out there at that time was short seller community. There was a big short seller community around Tesla. There was not really a long community. Even like the only people that really made Tesla related content back in like 2019 was myself and this guy named Galileo, who ran a channel called Hyperchange. That was it, man. And we'd talk Tesla all the time and do all these Tesla videos, but there was not like this big Tesla community, right? But yeah, a lot's changed, man. A lot's changed. And we always went into these subjects, and what's crazy about that is we always went into these subjects never in a cocky, arrogant manner. When we would talk about Tesla, it was always in, this is what we think is going to happen, here's the math around it, blah, 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 right? The only ones that were really cocky and arrogant back then and, had the little snarky remarks and all that was a short seller community, right? And we know how that ended. But now I look at the Tesla community, I can't get math, I can't get high level stuff from 99% of them. Like there's probably like 1% of the community I can actually get intelligent, like, let's talk about this, let's run some math, okay, we could do this, what if they do this, blah, blah. It's like 1% of the community now. 99% is like the short seller community back in the day, where it's just very cocky and arrogant. It's a problem, man. It's a problem. And, stock continues to just be a money suck for people. There's so many great investment opportunities over the years, and just people are missing them again and again and again. That sucks, man. Sucks, but it is what it is. No, this takes me to a bigger point around this. Stocks are not humans. Stocks are not dogs. They're not cats. You're not there to build an emotional connection with them and learn to love them and all that, things like that, right? No, that's not what they're here for. Stocks are here for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, it's the big reason, to make money. To make money. Second reason is smaller, is to build confidence in yourself. But that could be said for anything you do in life that you have success at. You go practice tennis, you get better at tennis, you build confidence. You go play basketball, you get better at basketball, you build confidence in yourself, right? So, you go work out and you get in better shape over the months, like, you get more confidence in yourself. So that could be said for almost anything. So it's like a minor reason, but the main reason is to make money. And people get lost in that. They start treating stocks like They're humans or cats or dogs, and they defend them to the death. And it's like, dude, you don't have to do all that. Like, nah, like, what are you doing? You're too in love with these stocks. They're here to make money. And the list ends there, So in why do we want to make the money? It's so you can retire early, or you can start a business, or you don't have to worry about, if you're going to miss the mortgage payment or the rent payment, right? So you can live in a nicer house or apartment, so you can drive nicer cars, so you can eat great food, you can travel around the world, right? You can have better health care, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And some of those things, people are like, dang, I really want to do that and that, but that other thing, that doesn't mean that much to me. That's a great thing. The bottom line is you get to do what you want. Charity. Like, I would love to be able to give away so much money to charity when I leave this earth. I would love that. That's like one of my goals. I would love to be able to, that's like literally one of my lifelong goals, to just be able to give crazy monies back to, top quality charities that really actually make differences out there, right? Whether it be on a local basis or even a state basis. I would love to be able to do that. And so that means a lot to me, but that might not be in somebody else. They might be like, I don't want to give to charity. I would love to give to my kids or something like that, but I don't care to give to charity. I want to spend my money while I'm here. I want to drive the nicest cars and travel around the world. Like, I don't want to have any money when I go on. That's cool as well. Like, that's the great thing. We're here to make money, but everybody's got different reasons, right? Some other guy's looking at this and he's like, dude, I'm 45 years old. I'm absolutely sick of this dog job I got. I would love to retire in my 50s. I don't want to still work this job when I'm 70 years old. If I can retire when I'm in my 50s, let's freaking go. So, to somebody else, they're like, I don't want to retire early. I want to work till I'm in the dirt. That's fine with me, right? So everybody's got a different reason, but that's why we do this. That's why we play this game. And so, people get too emotionally wrapped up in it, man. You can't be doing that. Okay, let's talk about this AI investor sentiment number and what this means for the market and where the market's headed, okay? So, we have now had 26 straight weeks of above average bearish sentiment. 26 straight weeks. I can never find in history a 26-week period that we were above the average bearish sentiment. The average bearish sentiment is 31%. And we've now had 26 straight weeks above 31%. Look at it. It's this category right here. Look at that, guys. It started at 34% bearish here on, back in January, and then the latest data was also bearish. Now, additionally, the average bullishness is 37%, and we're just under 37% bullish here in this latest week as well. But man, just so dang bearish. But what's it mean for the market moving forward that you're getting this data? Well, here's what it means. It means nothing. It means the market could easily go higher. Look at all the weeks that are bearish, and this backs it all the way up to, January time frame. Shoot, man, market's at all-time highs right now. Market's higher than when it entered that whole bearish period. And additionally, think about when we had the most insane bearish data, right? The most insane bearish data was April 3rd, right there, that week, right? And when the next week was insane bearish data as well, the week of the 10th of April, 58%. That was right here, folks. That was right here. And since you had that insane bearish sentiment, look where the market's headed. And we still had above average bearish sentiment the whole ride. The whole ride. The part that I worry about is when everybody's bullish again. When everybody's bullish again, that worries me. But if you want to know what actually drives the market, it's earnings. It's the biggest companies. NVIDIA, Microsoft, this is the weighting they have in the S&P 500. NVIDIA is about a 7.4% weight. Microsoft 6.6%. Apple's about 5.6%. Amazon's about 4.3%, right? Meta's over 3%. As long as those companies have great earnings, great guidance, people feel confident about their earnings, they're going up. The whole market's going up. Things switch the other way, then we got a problem, right? A lot going on, guys. Busy next 3 weeks for earnings. I'll cover it all for you between this channel and the reaction channel. Make sure you stay focused on the long term, okay? Hey, appreciate y'all joining me as always. If you want to join my Patreon, be able to see the stocks I'm buying and selling, including the new stock I bought in that portfolio here today, that will be the pinned comment down there for access. You also get access to the Patreon Discord chat in there. And you also get a discount on 1000xstocks.com membership as well. That discount is in the Discord chat, okay? Much love and have a great day.